Myself Padmaja, Associate Professor, Department of CSE, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. Now today in this video, we are going to discuss a number of problems using file handling. Now, file is an important part in any programming language where you can store bulk amount of data. So, when you have to store large amount of data or you want to retrieve voluminous data, it is better to store in a file and then do some file operations. So, in this video, we'll discuss about how to create a file, how to store data into a file, and how to retrieve data from the file. So, we will do these problems using C programming. Now, we'll start with a simple program that reads some text from the file and display it. Okay. Now, here we are going to read some text from the standard input device and write it to a file first. So, suppose the file name is sample.txt. Okay. Now, again, we will read the content from the file sample.txt and display it on the standard output device. So, through this program, I am trying to tell you that how to read the contents from the standard input device and store it into a file, and again how to retrieve the data which is there in the file, read the data from the file and display it to the standard output device. So, this is a simple program where you will understand how to create a file, how to store data and how to retrieve data. So, suppose in this video, whenever you want to type some text, you want to read some text from the standard input device, suppose whenever any special character you take like dot or period symbol you take. So, whenever you will press dot at the end of the line, then the data will be saved into your file and again you can read the data from the file and you can display it back. So, let us go to our C++ compiler and do this program. Now, here, whenever you do any file handling program, what are the things you have to understand? First thing is how to create a file, which function is used for creating a file, and what are the different modes for opening the file, and how to close the file. So, whenever you do any file operation, there are three basic operations you have to do. First, you have to open the file, then you have to do read and write operations on the file, and third is close the file. So, these are the three important operations: opening the file, doing read or write operation and closing the file. Now, for opening the file, what are the file opening modes are there? So, basically there are two types of file we handle. So, one is called text file, another one is called binary file. So, to open any text file, we can use the modes read, write and append. So, these are the three basic file handling modes. So, in the read mode, if the file already exists, then you can open the file in read mode and do the reading operation. If the file doesn't exist, then you have to open the file in write mode and write some content to the file. If the file already contains some contents and you want to add something more, then you have to go for append mode. So, append mode, in the append mode, you can write some additional content to the end of the file. So, read, write and append are the three basic modes. Along with that, three advanced modes are there like R+, W+, and A+. R+ means first read, then write. W+ means first write, then read. Append plus means first append, then read. So, these are the three advanced modes also you can do. So, in this program, first we will create a file. So, you need to open the file in write mode and then we'll write some content and then we will check whether if the contents are getting saved into the file or not. Then we will open the file again in read mode and display the content. So, this is the basic purpose of this file handling program. So, let us start writing the code. So, I have written the structure of the C program. So, to handle a file, first you have to open the file. So, whenever a file gets opened in memory, we should know the address of the file. So, we'll create a file pointer which will store the address of the file. So, first of all, let us use the built-in file structure and create a file pointer. So, suppose FP is a file pointer which is going to store the address of the file. Now, we will do the read or write operation character by character. So, we have taken one character variable. So, first of all, open the file. So fp is equal to, now fopen is the function to open the file, and suppose you want to open the file sample.txt, you can write down the path name or the file name. So whenever you are not writing the path name, the file will be opened in your current directory. If you are writing the path name, then the file will be opened in that specified directory. And as this file doesn't exist, I want to open this file in write mode so that a new file will be created and ready for writing. Now, you can see, suppose I want to give some particular location to this file, then I can give a specified path over here. Now let us see. See, on my desktop, there is a folder called CP. So I want to store my file here. So go to your properties and check the path of this file. So you can see here, it is C users administrator desktop. Okay. So in this, you have a folder called CP. So here you can provide that path also. You can provide that path. Okay. Now you can provide that path. In that path, you have a folder called CP, and in that you have sample.txt you want to store. This is called the complete path of the file. Okay. So if you want to give this path name, then you can provide. If you do not want to give any path name for this, then simply give the file name as sample.txt. So file name or path name should be specified. So fopen function takes two parameters. One is called file name or path name, followed by the mode in which you want to open the file. Okay. Now, whether the file gets opened successfully or not, for that you need to check the address of the file. So I'm checking over here. If the file pointer contains a null address, that means due to some reason the file could not be opened. So I can just write down a message, printf unable to open the file. If you are unable to open the file, then you cannot do any file operation over here. So you can simply write a return statement. So if you want, you can write simple printf statement. Otherwise, you can use the function your f error or p error also. So that also we will discuss. So here I am checking whether my file has got successfully opened or not. So if the file has opened successfully, then fp will not contain null. Fp, the file pointer, will contain a valid address. Okay. Now, if it is containing a valid address, then I want to read some data from the standard input device, and until I will press any special character like a dot, that is a period symbol, then I will go on reading. Okay. How will I read? I will read character by character. So ch is equal to get char. So using this function, I'll read one character at a time, and I want to write to the file. So you can use fputc, then your ch comma, to which file you want to write, you can write it down. Okay. Now, to which file I am writing? I am writing to the file whose address I know in the file pointer. So this loop will continue until you press a dot or period symbol at the end of the line. So every time it will read a character and write it to the file. So with this, my writing the content to the file is over. Now I will close my file, fclose of fp. So my file is now closed. Now, if I want to see whether the contents are written properly or not, so I can do it. I can again open the file in read mode and read the contents and display to the screen. Okay. So let us again open the file, fopen. Open the file again, sample.txt, but this time I will change the mode to read mode. Okay. Now, my file is opened. Whether the file is opened or not successfully, you can write down the same condition. If fp double equals to null, then there is a file opening problem. So I can write down a meaningful message that file opening problem. If the file is opened successfully, then I can do my operation. If there is any file opening problem, then simply I will return from here. Now, let me read the contents from the file. So, let me write a loop while not end of the file. So, I'll use a function here, fuf file, end of the file, fuf of fp. Till the end of the file, my loop should run. When I reach to the end of the file, my operation, the loop should stop. So, what I want to do? I want to print character by character. So, percentile C. Okay. From where? Get C or F get C you can write down. And I want to read from this file and display the contents. So, you can read line by line and you can read character by character and display it onto the screen. So, getC or fgetC function will read character by character from the file and it will display it. Okay. Now, after this, once your operation is over, if you want to write any meaningful message, then you can write it over here. Okay. File contents displayed successfully. So, it is up to you. If you want to write down any message, then you write down. Otherwise, you can simply leave it. And once your work is over, then you have to close the file, fclose of fp. So, in this program, you have seen that we are doing three basic operations. First, you are opening the file in the appropriate mode. Then, you are doing reading or writing. Then, you are closing the file. So, our task is over. Now, writing of the program is over. Let us save the program and run it. So, go for file, save as. Suppose I am saving my file in my desktop. So my file is saved. Now compile and run. So there is a mistake over here. Okay, let us rectify, has include properly. Let us write and now compile and run. So you can see here cursor is waiting. So let me write welcome to IARE college, and now I am giving a dot or period symbol. So my file reading should stop because I have written my logic. When you will write a dot symbol or period symbol, it should stop. So you can see that again it has read from the file and displayed the content on the screen. Okay. Now let us check whether my file has got the contents or not. So you can see over here on your desktop sample.txt has been created, and if you open that file, you can see the content over there. So you can see welcome to IARE college. This message has already been written. Now let us go back to your program again. If I want to write or add some more content to my existing file, then what I need to do with this program? Now with this program, what I need to do, I have to simply change the mode to append mode instead of write mode, because earlier it was in write mode. Write mode is used when you want to create a new file, but when you want to write some extra text along with the earlier content, then you have to go for the append mode. So you can see over here I have changed my file mode to be append mode, and I want to write some extra text to the content. So again run it. So already welcome to IARE college is already there. Now let us write some more content. It is one of the top 10 colleges in Telangana. I wrote this statement and pressed enter. So can you see over here, when I have written this content, the complete file contents it is displaying me. Welcome to IARE college. It is one of the top 10 colleges in Telangana. So both the contents you can see over here because of the append mode. Okay. Now let us go back to our file and check whether the new contents has been added or not. So you can see on the screen in the text file, both the lines are there in the file. So this is the way you have to write a file program for doing the basic operation. And I talked over here read mode, write mode, append mode, all the three modes we have used in this program. Okay. Now let us move on to another program that is called file copying program. Now in this file copying program, what you will do, suppose we have already sample.txt is there, then we want to copy the content of this file and we want to store it in another file. So you can do it for any C file or you can do it for any text file, any type of file. You can copy the content of one file to another file. Okay. So for that, let us write hash include stdio.h. Now the structure of the program, it is always better that you should write the structure of the program. Now how many files we are going to deal with? We are now going to deal with two files. Okay. One file is already existing and another new file we have to create. Okay. So how many file pointers we need? We need 2 file pointers. So we'll write fp1, star fp2. So I have created 2 file pointers. Now take one character variable because I want to read character by character from one file and write to another file. Okay. Now first of all you have to open both the files. So you have to write fp1 is equal to fopen. What is the file name? Already the existing file is sample.txt. This file is already existing. So you have to read the content from this file. So open it in read mode. Okay. And fp2 is a new file which you need to create where you want to store the content of the first file. Okay. So suppose I am writing sample1.txt. Okay. This file is a new file. So I will open it in write mode. So after opening both the files, let us check whether the files are opened successfully or not. So write down a message if fp1 double equals to null, or you can write in one line fp2 double equals to null. If the file pointers are containing null address, that means there is some error in opening the file. So you can write down the message printf, or let us write p error over here. P error, file opening problem, and return from here. So if there is no file opening problem, then you can continue with our work. So what you have to do after opening the files, you have to read character by character from the first file and we have to write it to the second file. So we can write on while not feof, not end of the file from the first file. Okay, not end of the first file. What you have to do? You have to do ch is equal to get c of from which file? From the first file. You have to read the content from fp1 and then fput c ch fp2. So read one character and write it to the second file. Read one character from the first file and write it to the second file. Okay. So you can continue this operation till you reach to the end of the file. Now, after doing read and write operation continuously, what do you have to do? You have to close both the files because there are only 3 basic operations: opening, reading and writing, and then closing the files. So fclose of your fp1, then fclose of fp2. I have closed both the files. So if you want, you can add it up one message that file contents copied successfully. This is up to you. This is an additional message. So you can write a meaningful message over here and then your program is over. Okay. Now we have written a program how to do file copying. So we have opened the file sample.txt in read mode and then we are trying to copy the content of the file sample.txt into another file sample1.txt. So we have opened the file sample.txt in read mode and sample1.txt in write mode. Then we have checked whether both the files have been successfully opened or not. Then we are reading character by character from the first file and then copying it to the second file. So we have completely written the program and we have closed both the files. Now let us save and run the program. So after compilation, I am getting the message file contents copied successfully as I have given the message in the program. Now let us check whether sample1.txt file has been created or not. So just let me minimize this and check it. So can you see over here, earlier sample1.txt file was not there on my desktop. Now sample1.txt file has been created and the contents are copied successfully from one file to another file. Now let us move on to the next program. Now in this program, a file is given that is called student.txt, and in that file we have to first store the student details like the student name, student roll number and marks in 3 different subjects. So you can check here student.txt, this file we need to create and store the student details like name, roll number and marks in 3 different subjects. And we have to create another file called reports.txt and store their name, roll number along with what is their sum and average of marks. So how to do this program to find the sum and average of marks? So we will write down this program in 2 different files. So first we will create the student.txt file and then we will write down report.txt program where we will read the content from student.txt and we will find out the sum and average. So let us move on to our Dev C++ editor and start writing the program. First we will create. So let me write creation of student.txt file first. So how to create the student.txt file with the details what is asked in the question? So stdio.h int main and return 0. So structure of the program I have prepared. Then followed by, first of all, I need to deal with how many files? I need to deal with only one file. So I'll write down, I'll create one file pointer. So star fp. Okay. Now what are the other things required? So in the student.txt file, how many student records you want to create? So for that thing, you need to take a variable called n. Suppose n is nothing but the counter, how many number of students records you want to create. And we need a loop. So I is the looping variable followed by the 3 different marks m1, m2 and m3 are the 3 different variables. We need to write down the roll number. So roll is another variable. And also name of each student is required. So name of 20 is the character array. Okay. Now these are the inputs we needed. Now first open the file in write mode and write the student details first. So let us write fp is equal to fopen followed by, suppose the name of the file is students or student.txt file. Open this file in write mode. Okay. Now after opening this file, as usual you can check if fp double equals to null. If the file pointer contains a null address, so you can write p error, print error. This is a built-in function. Otherwise you can simply write printf also. Okay. So file opening problem. Then after writing this appropriate message, if there is an opening problem, if the file cannot be opened successfully, then simply return from here. Okay. If it is opened successfully, then first let me write how many student records you want to create. You may create n number of records. So write a general message, enter number of student records. Scanf percentile d comma ampersand n. So here n is the number of student records. So what are the information that you have to read? We have to read name, roll number and marks in 3 different subjects. So write down a for loop for I is equal to 0, I less than the number of records, then I plus plus. Now through this loop we are going to read the details. So let me write down one general message outside the loop, that printf your enter student details, like enter name, comma, roll number, comma, marks in 3 different subjects. Just a general message. If you will write this statement inside the loop, then it will repeat for every record. So we don't want that. So we are writing one general message. Okay. Now let us write the scanf statement to read the details. So first information is our name. So suppose percentile S. Second information is roll number percentile D. Then marks, I have taken all integers. So percentile D 3 times. Okay. So if you want, you can give proper spacing. Otherwise, no issues. Then name is the array and ampersand roll followed by ampersand M1, ampersand M2 and then ampersand M3. Okay. So this scanf statement will go on reading. So how many times this loop runs and number of times the loop runs, every time it is reading name, roll number and marks in 3 different subjects. Once reading one record, let us write it to the file. So to write it to the file, we will use the statement your fprintf. Okay. So fscanf will read from the file, fprintf will write to the file. So where you want to write? So file pointer or file address is required. So fp followed by how you want to write the file. So for that we have to provide the specific control characters. So for the name, I want to give 10 spaces. So percentile 10s followed by for roll number and all, I want to give percentile 5d. 5 is the width. So you can change or adjust your width. Otherwise you can write down /d also. That is one tab space also. So it is up to you how you write. So percentile d 4 times I have written. So percentile s is for name, then followed by roll number, followed by 3 different your marks. Okay. Now what are the variable names? First one is your name followed by roll number and then M1, M2 and M3. So through this fprintf, we are writing to the file. So we are reading one record at a time and writing to the file. This process will be continued till the number of records and value is satisfied. Okay. So after reading the number of records, then it is reading and writing simultaneously. Then we need to close our file. So fclose fp. You can also write one message that file records or records inserted successfully to the file. Just for, okay. Now then you have closed the file already and records inserted successfully to the file. This is general message we have written. Now first of all, save this file and then go for running. So go to file, save as. Then save it as C source file and save it. Then when you run your program, it is asking you to enter the number of student records. Suppose the number of student records are 3 records I want to insert. Then it is asking me to enter the name, roll number, marks in 3 different subjects. So first name is suppose Krishna, roll number is 501, followed by the marks are 45, 67, 78. Then second is Priya, then followed by roll number is suppose 502 and the marks are 45, 65 and your 59. Similarly, third record is suppose Suman, then 503 is the roll number followed by 55, 66 and 88 are the marks. Then you can see the message records inserted successfully to the file. That message has come. Now we have given here 3 record details. Now we need to check whether in the file it has been stored properly or not. So let us close this output window and go and check whether our file has been created properly or not. So check it, our student.txt file has been created, and if you open this file, then you will see the output properly. Now, can you see over here that 3 records are stored successfully. Now, after writing this program, let us write another program called for report generation, where we need to read the data from student.txt file and find the sum and average of the student marks. Okay, so let us write another program where we need to generate reports.txt file. So generation of reports.txt file. So how many files we are going to deal? We are going to deal with two files now. One is called studentdear.txt and another file we need to create, that is called reports.txt. So first I have prepared the structure, then followed by how many file pointers we need? We need two file pointers. So star fp1 comma star fp2. Two file pointers I have taken. Now how will you read the number of records? So for that I need roll number as a variable, then followed by marks in three different subjects. So M1, M2 and M3. M3 is required. Then followed by we need to find out the sum. Suppose initially sum is equal to 0. And float, average also we have to find it out. Okay. Then for name, character, name of 20 I have taken. So name, roll number and the marks I have to read. Then for the marks I have to find out the sum and average. And in my report.txt I need to display the name, roll number, sum of marks and average of marks. Okay. Now first of all let me open the file. So fp1 is equal to fopen. The first file is your student.txt. So let us check. The file name is student.txt. So student.txt. This file already exists. So you have to open it in which mode? You have to open it in read mode. Then fp2, second file, you have to open fopen. Then reports.txt. So reports.txt is a new file that you have to create. So you need to open it in right mode. As usual, you need to check whether the files opened successfully or not. So if fp1 double equals to null or fp2 double equals to null, then there is a file opening problem. So printf, just write down the message file opening problem and then return from here. So far we have opened both the files, first file in read mode, second file in write mode, and we have checked whether the files opened successfully or not. Now what do we need to do? We have to read the contents from the first file and write it to the second file. So till the end of the file we need to read the content. So we can write on a while loop, while not EOF, not end of the file of the first file fp1. We have to repeat this process. Okay. Now what do you need to do? You need to read it. So for reading, there is a function called fscanf is there. There is a function called fscanf is there. How you will read? From which file you will read? You will read from first file. That is, the file address is fp1. Then followed by, you need to provide the control strings appropriately. The way you have provided the proper spacing while writing the records to the file, the same way, the same spacing you have to provide. Otherwise, it cannot read the record properly. So we have given 10 spaces for the name, followed by 5 spaces for roll number and marks. So percentile 5D, percentile 5D, then percentile 5D and percentile 5D. So we have given the same spacing what we have given while writing the records. So what are the variables name? So it is name followed by ampersand, roll followed by ampersand M1, ampersand M2 and ampersand M3. So fscanf is a function which will help you to read the records from the file. So fscanf takes 3 arguments. First argument is called the address of the file. Second is the control string and third is the name of the variables. So we have given the file address is fp1. fp1 contains the address of the first file, followed by we have given the control strings properly and name of the variables. Now after reading, what it has to do, it has to compute the sum. So sum is equal to m1 plus your m2 plus your m3. So three different marks sum we have got it. Then average we have to find it out. Sum divided by 3.0 I will do, because average is a float variable, so it will do automatic typecasting. That is implicit typecasting it will do, because sum is an integer. So integer by float is float. So it will convert into float. Then where you have to write, we can write it down this records. You can display this record to our standard input also. Or we have to write down these records into our, either you can display it on the screen, but in this example we have to write it down to report.txt. So we'll write down your fprintf. Writing down to the file is through fprintf, followed by fp2 is the address of the file, and then you can provide the same spacing. So percentile, your 10s, percentile 5d, percentile 5d. So same spacing if you want, you can provide. Okay. So after that, the name of the variables are name, roll number you want to provide. These two you want to provide, followed by the sum and the average. So your sum is integer, so you can write down here name, roll number, then sum. This is not required. Okay. So we can write down your 7.2f, because after decimal up to 2 places we want to display. So name, roll number, then sum of the marks, followed by the average of the marks. These 4 attributes you want to display. Okay. So this process will continue. It will read one record, it will find out the sum of marks, then it will find out the average, and it will write down the new record into the reports.txt. So this process will be continued for all the records. Then we need to close the files, fclose of fp1, and then close the second file also, fclose of fp2. Okay. So after closing the files, let us save the program and let us run it. Save it as C source file and then run it. So if you want, then we can write down any message over here. So printf records written successfully to the file. After writing these records, let us compile and run. Now you can see the output on the screen. So in this program, we have used the functions fscanf and fprintf. Now let us check the program. Let us rerun and check once. So you can see over here, you are not getting any message on the screen. That means there is no file opening problem. But finally, once the records are written successfully to the file, we got the message records written successfully to the file. Now we need to open the file and we have to check reports.txt has been created or not. So you can see over here, report.txt is created. And you can see this file that all the 3 records are there with the name, roll number, followed by the sum of the marks and then the average of the marks over here. So in this way, you can write down a number of records or a volume of data into your files, and then you can do some processing on those records. So files are normally meant for your storing volumes of data and do some file processing operations. So every time entering the input to your program, if the volume of data is there, and it is a very tiresome or erroneous task that every time you need to enter a bulk of data. So instead of entering a bulk of data or instead of storing a bulk of data, if you want to store, then go for file operations. Okay. Now, in this video, we have learned a number of file handling programs to do various operations. So, you can try a number of file handling applications. So, by writing the similar logic. Thank you so much.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.